Serious, students who have dated their teachers, what's your story? I dated a law professor during the summer break after my first year. She was the spitting image of Lilith Sternin from Cheers in looks, dress, and mannerisms. She had 20 years on me and was not someone I would have considered attractive at that stage of my life. It would be safe to say she was not well liked by most students. She had just gone through a very brutal and very public divorce. As I was walking out of class, she was standing at the lectern with a 1,000-yard stare and looking utterly dejected. I talked her into hitting the bar with some other students and a couple of professors. She got loose. I got loose. And we spent the next 3 months tooling around and F-king like bunnies. Blew off a summer internship to go screw around. Which is probably why I ended up being a career public attorney, or not. Looking back, it was one of the happiest and most satisfying parts of my life. We broke it off amicably and remained friends right up until the time she succumbed to terminal illness a few years ago. I married my college professor. We've been together almost 20 years. I was over 21 and he was not yet 30. It was an independent study type course my last semester. I had to hint to him that I was interested. We went on a date and the rest is history. Not a scandal or big deal. I turned 18 my senior year. My German teacher and I were always flirty before that though. He was married my junior year but divorced by my senior year. I slept with him 3 times. Found out I had chlamydia. Confronted him about it. He I knew about it. I got mine all cleared up and now he's married to some chick, probably still with chlamydia, and teaching English over in Dubai. Dated and married my general chemistry TA. Nothing scandalous. Though. We didn't start dating until a couple of years after the class ended. I had a huge crush on him throughout. And we'd run into each other a bit on campus and chat. Eventually we saw each other intentionally. Then dated. During the class, I did go to a lot of tutoring. Digging through my textbook for obscure shit to ask him. He's a good man. He always redirected our conversations back to chemistry when I try to get off topic. We laugh now because it was super obvious. And I actually did learn a lot from him. Had a huge crush on my high school gym teacher. Few years after graduation, Facebook came out and I looked him up. Still super hot. We met up for drinks. Then a week later he invited me to his place for dinner. It was a one-time thing. It was f***ing awesome. Although now almost 10 years later he'll still text me thirsty as all hell. No regrets. Fake. Gym teachers are never hot. I dated a TA when I was in college. It really wasn't too big a deal. She didn't grade the final paper. And most of the tests quizzes were multiple choice fill in the blank. So there wasn't really any way for her to show me preferential treatment. Just sat and listened to her read through the prof's PowerPoint slides and answer questions. We didn't tell the prof or anyone in the class. But we weren't exactly secretive either. I doubt anyone would have cared. It didn't really have a hot for teacher vibe. But the first few weeks were kind of fun, stealing glances and such. I slept with my student once. I was her TA for organic chemistry. She was 21 and I was 23. The sex was stellar and I told the professor of the lab that I couldn't be responsible for grading her paper. He gave me a wink and told me that's how he met his husband. One of my classmates started dating a professor and he eventually got her pregnant. She graduated before revealing their relationship and marrying him, but everyone knows it started during school. I might add this isn't the first student the professor has f***ed. Wasn't my actual professor. He taught computer networking. And I was in a liberal arts program. However, he was asked to do a workshop for our class. He had past experience with SFX makeup, and I was chosen as a volunteer to help him sculpt stuff. Went over to his place a few evenings. Did the workshop. And a couple weeks later we were pretty much dating. I was 22 at the time. So personally I don't consider it very taboo. Glad to have met him. I dated my high school history teacher a year after graduating high school. We're still together 5 years later. It was awkward with my high school friends once we came out. He is the best man I've ever met and I'll definitely be with him forever. He's 10 years older than me, so we still have lots in common. I'd say the worst part is that going back to our hometown, still so many dirty looks. Wish they could just be happy for us. My husband was my senior English teacher. He was young and cute and I had a crush on him. Obviously. He came to my high school grad party and gave me a card with a nice note saying that maybe we could get together for lunch before I left for college. We did. That was 16 years ago. So obviously the rest is history. I dated my college professor in my last few weeks of the final semester. She was extremely timid and shy, yet strangely attractive. I decided to ask her out after class one day to see what she would say. She told me it's an inappropriate thing to ask a teacher in school, and that she would see me next week. She emailed me later that evening from her personal email saying that she couldn't answer me properly at the time, but that she was down to go on a date. We went on a few dates, dinner, drinks, etc. However, it did not last long as we were too incompatible on a personal level. Opposite ends of the personality spectrum, I guess. I broke it off after 6-7 weeks. And she didn't take it well. Luckily for me, I never saw her again. Or had to have a piece of work graded by her. Although the way it ended did stop me from returning to the school to give a presentation about my dissertation to one of the classes. Definitely did not want to risk that extremely awkward situation. My friend wouldn't date a teacher. He was married. Even though his wife was down with it, my friend constantly had to turn him down. They became friends and she went to hang out with him and his wife one night. After one drink, she noticed that she was one-eyed drunker than she should be. She left immediately and came home to talk to me. Her housemate, my ex, had been roofied 2 times in Ottawa. So my experience told me that she was probably dosed with something and that it was very good that she left at the first sign of trouble. Girls, I feel sorry for you, having to put up with this kind of crap. What's worse is that his wife was in on it, helping him take advantage of a student. He now has a son. I really hope he does things right and teaches his son to be better than himself. Somehow. I dated one of my TAs early in college. She was very pretty and I thought I had no chance. During review sessions I would give her a hard time and apparently she found it funny and charming. Who knew? Because she asked me out as the semester wound down. She helped me on my final paper a little, but she also took my virginity, so it was a nice end to the semester for that class. I'm dating my self-defense instructor. I'm in my mid-20s. He's in his early 30s. So the age difference is bigger than I'm used to. But we're still well within the age/2+7 rule. Whenever I take one-on-one classes with someone within like a 20-year age gap, there's like a 50% chance I'll get a crush on them, regardless of their sex. It's kind of pathetic. I'm so used to it at this point. Usually I just ignore it. I guess there's something really hot about seeing someone who's really talented at something I wish I was better at. In 11th grade, my math teacher and I were madly in love. She was 24 and I was 17, and one day she told me to stay after class when normally I would go to lunch. Once we were alone, she told me she had dreamed about me the night before and asked if I was serious with my girlfriend. One thing led to another and I fell deeply in love with her. One day her husband showed up to class to drop off some keys to her and I was so scared. This was in 1997, so I didn't have a cell phone but just a pager. She would send me encoded messages. The number 17 meant she was thinking about something we had done. 10 meant she missed me. 314 meant to go to her classroom. The doors all had glass windows on them, but hers was covered in math facts, so the room had privacy. It was a very good year. She was going to give you the pie? Currently dating my former high school chemistry teacher, if that counts. He was very popular amongst students then. And still is now. even after he quit last year. It's only an 8-year difference and we never really talked when I had his class his first year teaching. Long story short, teachers tend to be good at putting up a front in regards to their anxiety and depression. Not so much dated, but she was my 8th grade English teacher. She and her husband had a house on the lake where I lived. Her husband worked all week and would only come down on the weekends. My friend and I saw her one day while skiing. She asked us to stop by later that evening. She had beer. She was in her early 30s. That night we just talked about the previous school year. And my friend and I got drunk and passed out on her couch. She asked us back that evening. We grabbed a beer and she whispered to me, "Don't drink too much tonight." When my friend passed out on the couch, she asked if I wanted to go to the bedroom with her. Of course I did. We had sex 3 or 4 times a week for the next 2 months. Couple of times twice a day. After the summer was over I went to high school, a different school, 9th grade, and never saw her again. The next summer we went by her lake house and someone else answered the door. She had sold it. I went to her private all-girl HS. I was seeing 2 male teachers there. One gassed himself in his car. My dad married his adult English teacher, my mom, in Greece. They'd been married for 27 years. Wasn't me, but when I was in military school, one of the seniors hooked up with a social studies teacher on a weekend field trip. Long story short, his buddy wanted to get in on the action too, and when she refused he told on them. She got fired, but the kid was 18, so no legal trouble. I know she was married too, so probably not anymore. My sister, 17, who could do no wrong. I'm not bitter. You're bitter. Started spending a little too much time with her basketball coach English teacher, 40s. We lived with different parents and I never liked her, so I didn't pay much attention. But then, on Christmas she just leaves to go spend part of Christmas with him, his wife, and his children. Dad caught on. Mom ignored it. After graduation they started dating and he divorced his wife. They got married without telling anyone, and unsurprisingly the family was not happy, but sister still didn't see anything wrong. But then, he became emotionally, physically, abusive. She never said it outright, but it was obvious. She did the whole leave and go back thing multiple times. She's currently with a roommate of a year or so out of his house and dating a new guy, 50 sigh, but I don't think they're technically divorced. Her official statement for the breakup was that he didn't want more kids. Dude, your sister got groomed. Not sure if it counts, but I married my taekwondo instructor. I did switch to training at the place he trained at though in order to avoid any issues. I had 2 teachers interested in me in my final year of secondary school. I was almost 19 when I finished though, as I was held back a year when I moved countries. The teachers in question were in their early 20s. I really hope after you consummated your marriage. He leant over and said. And now the student has become the master.